Hello, I'm Lindsay Konzak, editor of Modern Distribution Management and MDM.com, and today for our 7 Minute Swiss segment, I'm talking with Chester Collier, Senior Vice President for Global Distribution at Walter Surface Technologies, a manufacturer of abrasives, power tools, tooling, chemical tools, and environmental solutions for the metalworking industry. Welcome, Chester. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, based on your experience, kind of on a high level, has the relationship between manufacturer and distributor changed over the years? And if so, why?
I do believe it has changed, and I think it's been a change that's occurred not necessarily because either the manufacturer or the distributor wanted to make that change, but I believe the change has occurred because the end user has demanded that change. Today, I think in an awful lot of markets, the end user is looking for a total solution, and they're looking to reduce the number of vendors they have. So they're going to go to one distributor or two distributors as opposed to going to 5 or 10 distributors. That single change there dramatically changes, I believe, the relationship between the distributor and the manufacturer, where that distributor is not going to have 8 lines of a product. He may have one to two, because he wants to be able to provide his customer a total solution. That means there has to be more trust. There has to be more sharing of information. There has to be more knowledge transfer. With that change happening, the distributor actually is in a greater position of control, I believe, than he has ever been in the past.
Chester, is there a need for stronger partnerships between manufacturers and distributors? And I guess, what does that word even mean, partnerships?
Great question, Lindsay. And yes, there is definitely a need for a stronger partnership. And let's talk first about what I believe a partnership means. You can have a relationship or you can have a partnership. And a relationship, that means we just get along together. We share some common beliefs, some common practices. A partnership is much more than a relationship. A partnership is when you have an ultimate trust between each other. And I think that's a clear differentiation between the relationship and the partnership. It's about both parties trusting. Do we need to have more of that? Absolutely we do. For primarily the main reason that I've already mentioned is that when the end user wants to consolidate and start dealing with one distributor or two distributors, there has to be more sharing information back and forth. That can put certain pressures on that distributor. That can put certain pressures on the manufacturer. And we need to understand that entire process. So we need to know from the distributor, what the lead times are, what the cycle times are. In some cases, we even need to sit down with that distributor under this partnership and look at what his margins may be, because he may be under margin pressure. And we need to understand that whatever pain or joy that he's experiencing, we need to be sharing in exactly that in the same proportion. One of the biggest challenges that manufacturers and distributors have today is to have that trust. And there's a lot of reasons why they don't, but there's an awful lot of reasons why they should have the trust. But it's like a marriage. If we don't trust each other, then we're always going to be second-guessing things. And I think if we're able to build and develop that trust, then we're going to go on to much bigger and much greater things, and we'll be able to help each other and also help that customer do their job a lot more efficiently.
What are the 3 things that keep you up at night?
Boy, I wish there was only 3. The biggest one, and I think about this all the time. The question is, why don't we do what we know we should do? This bothers me an awful lot, and this is on both sides, from a manufacturer side and also from a distributor side. We know what we need to do to grow business. We know what we need to do to solve our customers' problems. We know what we need to do to have a very strong partnership, but we don't always do it. And I find that this is very frustrating, and very seldom is it because we don't have a solution or we don't have the answer. It's for one reason or another, either the manufacturer or the distributor or sometimes the end user, we didn't do what we all know deep in our hearts we should have done. Another thing that keeps me up at night a little bit is that question you asked about that partnership and that trust, between the distributor and the manufacturer. And I understand why it's a challenge to have that trust. But if we have that trust, then both parties can grow so much more. Both parties can develop plans and ideas and concepts. It's really tough when we know that by doing these things together, we can accomplish a whole lot more. Yet we find there's a roadblock that somewhere, there's an obstacle in the way that prevents us from really developing that deep partnership. The third thing that does keep me up at night, I think a lot of manufacturers believe that they like to bring innovation to the marketplace. And I don't think this is just for tool manufacturers. I think this is for people that are working in electronic data and things like that. And I think one of the things that keep us all up at night is why is this market, the industrial market, so slow to adopt innovation sometimes? It seems that innovation gets adapted out of necessity, not because people see the opportunity. And if somebody else does it, then we will adopt that innovation. But up until that time, we have a hesitancy to it. If a manufacturer develops a new product and he thinks it's the very best product and can really help that end user do his job better, safer, faster, whatever it may be, and he goes to the typical distributor channel, they would look at that and say, well, no one's asked us for that product before. That's an extra SKU I have to create. That's extra inventory I have to put on my shelf. And I really don't know if that product is going to sell. As opposed to somebody looking at that and saying, okay, wait a second. This is really unique. This is really different. This may bring a huge value to my customers. So let me adopt this and let's see whether this can work. Amazon has just made a deal with the U.S. Postal Service to offer delivery on Sunday. Well, that could be a bit of a game changer. And I'm certain that although many distributors may have said, yes, it'd be nice to get our product to a customer on Sunday because he has a project or a job he needs to start on Monday morning, well, we just don't do that. Now that Amazon has made that arrangement, we may see other people follow suit. So that's the type of thing I'm talking about when I talk about innovation and why we sometimes don't want to innovate as fast or quickly as we could. We kind of wait to see what somebody else does, and then we'll say, hey, that's a great idea. Let's follow through with that.
Thank you so much for your insight today, Chester. It's always appreciated. And thank you for joining us.